This is LBC with Clive Bull.
LBC, I'm Clive Bull. Coming up at 8, it's the travel hour, and we'll take more of your calls in a moment on Brexit and this new organisation, Change Britain. To what, you might ask? 0345 60 60 973 is the number to call if you'd like to join in. First, though, Hillary Clinton left a ceremony to mark 15 years since the 9/11 terror attacks after feeling overheated, her campaign has said. Donald Trump has repeatedly raised questions about his rival's health and whether she has the energy to serve as president. Let's talk to Robert Weiner, who's former spokesman for the Clinton and Bush White Houses in Washington, now a National Democratic strategist. Good evening to you, Robert.
It's a pleasure. Evening for you, afternoon for us. And,
yes, afternoon.
Very sad day here, of
course.
9/11. That is what Britain has faced in World War II, and that was the closest we've ever come to it.
And it was at a 9/11 commemoration that Hillary felt unwell. What do we know about that?
Well, first of all, on 9/11, a couple of things that your listeners might actually enjoy. I was in the Capitol on 9/11 as the planes were headed toward us, and then the Pennsylvania plane took it down first on the way to the Capitol. Three things that show the way that people reacted to 9/11 here that, again, you won't hear anywhere else but on our station here together with us. Mm-hmm. Senator Leahy, chairman of Appropriations, was confirming the drug czar, and I told him on the way in that there was 9/11 that had just occurred and the hearing was canceled, the building was being evacuated. He said, oh, and he turned around. Senator Barbara Mikulski of Maryland told me, well, they didn't tell me. Tells you the kind of personal ways that people react to things. Senator John Kerry out in the yard, now our Secretary of State. I spoke to him, have known him forever, had a party for him at my house when he was running for Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts. And he said, Bob, I can't talk about that right now when we want to talk about something personal. We have to focus. The country's just been attacked. And thank God he's our Secretary of State with that kind of focus. But I just thought your listeners would appreciate the
yes.
three leading politicians reacted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I presume that is dominating media coverage today. I mean, it is the 15th anniversary, so it must
taken
be
away our civil liberties, and that way I would say the terrorists actually have won, and that's a tragedy for both Britain and America and all countries that believe in democracy. On Hillary Clinton's illness, we all thought Cheney was too sick. He had 2 heart attacks, and he's still around to continue to torture us and everybody else he tortured. So, it's amazing. But, I think, and people said that she may have been dehydrated. Medical people tell you, drink on hot days and over fluid and over drink. I think Hillary's got to learn a couple lessons like that about what you do on a hot day. And I don't think it's anything more than that, to be honest.
People are drawing conclusions, though. Some people are saying that this is going to damage because, there's no smoke without fire, and people are thinking, well, maybe she's not up to the job.
Well, it's ludicrous. It's a hot day. You don't stand out in the hot sun for an hour and a half without drinking a couple bottles of water before you get there. And when I go out and run, I'm a runner, I overhydrate before I go out and run on a hot day, and I pour water on my head. Well, she wasn't going to pour it on her head, but she could at least have overdrunk. But I don't think, that's not something that people understand, and nurses and doctors will tell you that all the time. I don't think there's anything more to it than that because she's fine now. And Brian Fallows, who I know, I worked with him at the Democratic Convention where I directed the press briefing room when Hillary was nominated a month ago, and he just issued a statement saying she's fine now. So, I think it was nothing but dehydration.
And what about this other incident that hasn't played that well for her, calling the Trump supporters deplorables, effectively criticising a big chunk of the electorate? That hasn't gone down well.
I actually don't think by the way, she said half of them, and that might be an understatement, to be honest. When you got a guy who has said the kind of statements that he said, that Hispanics are rapists and McCain's not a war hero, and now the generals are rubble and Putin's a strong leader, and then he ripped the whole intelligence community for supposedly opposing Obama when he broke the secrecy of it, and by the way, lied about what happened in it. So this is the kind of a guy that wants to be president with his bigoted, biased, deplorable positions.
Yeah,
And
but
I
you
would
shouldn't
say that there's
criticise
a
the
lot of
voters,
truth to what
surely.
you said.
Surely that is a mistake, though. She had to backtrack on it. You shouldn't criticise your voters.
Well, they're not her voters. The half she's talking about aren't
Well,
her
they're
voters.
Americans, aren't they? American voters. What about the?
No, I gotta push back on this.
Go
to
on.
be honest with you, because Britain had a whole day in its parliament calling Trump an absolute idiot and talking about what a stupid guy and how absurd it would be for America to elect him as president with the kind of things he stated, and taking away support from NATO now and all that. So Britain has a whole day of that in the parliament, and now you want to tell me that Hillary shouldn't say half of his supporters are deplorable.
Well, I'm not saying she shouldn't say it. I'm asking whether it was wise from a campaign point of view. I mean, how actually is she doing in terms of the polls?
Well, the polls today show that she's holding at 5% ahead of Trump. So that's the reality of what's going on. You know, there have been some myths about her dropping in the polls and all of that, which Trump says, I'm winning. Well, actually, no. Today's poll shows that Hillary is 5 points ahead. So that's a pretty substantial, that's as much as Obama beat Romney by. And so I don't think that there's really a horrible problem here, but she's got to perform well in those debates. She has to take them on.
Yeah.
She has to be aggressive. She has to have sound bites. She has to put him in his place, and she has to make him look like the idiot that he is, with subtlety and with reason, as she says, steadiness. But she can do that. She's a very good debater. So I think that's what it comes down to now is the 3 debates. The first one, September 26th.
Yeah, that's going to be crucial. Great to talk to you, Robert. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. LBC 0345 6060 973. Back to Brexit now.